The Strait of Hormuz dictates the rhythm of the global economy. A fifth of the world's oil flows through this geographic choke point. Just days ago, the Trump administration promised absolute security here, vowing to escort every commercial vessel through the passage. But reality has forced a rapid pivot. The U.S. Navy has officially told the shipping industry that providing escorts is, quote, not possible for now. This leaves the lifeblood of global trade completely exposed. These massive, slow-moving commercial oil vessels are incredibly vulnerable targets, navigating hostile waters. The sudden withdrawal of protection comes down to resource allocation. The U.S. military's massive carrier groups and naval assets are entirely consumed by active, ongoing combat operations against Iran. Moving 20 to 30 commercial tankers safely through a combat zone is a logistical nightmare. It requires a dedicated, massive screen of destroyers, frigates, and specialized mine countermeasure vessels operating in perfect unison. The U.S. Navy is caught in a zero-sum geographic trap. Committing the necessary fleet to shield global trade routes means pulling heavily from the front line, leaving their offensive capabilities exposed in a direct war with Iran. This chart tracks the financial bleed of the conflict's first 6 days. The Pentagon's estimated war cost crossed $11.3 billion. A massive portion evaporated immediately. In just the first 48 hours, $5.6 billion was spent entirely on precision munitions. American firepower carries an exorbitant price tag. Every single Tomahawk cruise missile launched at an Iranian target costs between $1 and $2 million. Add to that the daily operational overhead. Keeping a single aircraft carrier strike group costs the U.S. Treasury $6 to $8 million daily, and that doesn't cover the immense supply chains needed to fuel it thousands of miles from home. This aggressive burn rate is an inherent feature of fighting a high-tech war across the globe. Every bomb dropped, every jet refueled, and every missile intercepted drains the U.S. Treasury at an unsustainable velocity. Iran counters this with a calculated mathematical advantage, largely built around systems like the Shahed drone. This is a cost comparison between the two primary assets of this conflict. While a single Shahed drone costs roughly $2,000 to build, the interceptor missiles launched to destroy it cost between $1 and $2 million each. Iran leverages its geography by avoiding large warships. Instead, they saturate the strait with cheap naval mines, coastal missile systems, and highly mobile speedboat swarms. Operated by the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is a branch of the Iranian armed forces specializing in unconventional warfare. This asymmetric warfare exposes a critical vulnerability in the American supply chain. Over a recent 5-year period, the U.S. produced exactly 322 Tomahawk missiles. They are now burning through that entire inventory in a matter of days. Rather than a traditional naval shootout, Iran's strategy relies on a calculated economic attrition designed to drain the U.S. war machine's treasury long before the fighting stops. This localized naval stalemate is threatening a global price shock. Market forecasts warn that the disruption could push crude oil toward $150 to $200 a barrel. Facing the prospect of an economic meltdown, the U.S. government has been backed into a corner, forcing them to compromise their own strict international sanctions regime. To ease the pressure on global markets, Washington is officially permitting countries, notably India, to purchase heavily sanctioned Russian oil. There is a specific caveat to this policy reversal. The U.S. has granted a 30-day window for mid-sea Russian reserves to quickly flood the market, desperately trying to cool down exploding crude prices. To sustain their own military effort, the Trump administration is preparing to ask a divided Congress for a $50 billion emergency funding bill. It is an immediate financial burden that echoes the $2 trillion spent in Iraq and the $2.3 trillion spent in Afghanistan. Iran has spent the last 20 years building subterranean missile cities and stockpiling cheap munitions for this exact scenario. This trap demonstrates a reality of modern naval warfare. The advantage belongs to whichever side can sustain the financial cost of fighting tomorrow.